All right, y'all, so this is a problem out of the homework. I know this is out of 1.5. I don't recall what problem it is, but I do remember this is out of 1.5, okay? There we go. Okay, so let's see what they're saying here. It says a projectile, is launched from the ground with a velocity of VO, feet per second, neglecting air resistance, the height in feet, t seconds after launch is given by, okay. So I'm going to start writing that out. S equals negative 16t squared plus V0 with a t. And part A says find the time or times when the projectile will reach a height of 240 when V0 is 128. Excuse me. So y'all, the first thing I'm going to do, the height is given by S. So I'm going to put a 240 right here, negative 16t squared plus, they're telling me that V0 was 128. So that's going to be 128t. Okay, first thing I'm going to do, y'all, I'm going to bring this guy over here and this guy over here simply because that piece there was negative, okay? So look, when we bring that over, y'all, 16t squared minus 128 with a t plus 240 is equal to 0. Now, y'all, my numbers here are big, but I have a calculator and I can use my calculator. But I do want to see if I can possibly make my numbers smaller. It's just maybe a little bit easier for me to do. I'm not certain, but I'm going to see if I can possibly divide everything here by 16 all the way across just to make my numbers smaller. So I'm going to check, does 16 go into 128 and does 16 go into 240? I know it's going to go into 16. So let's check that. So let's go 128 divided by 16. I know it's a negative. Boom, it goes in nice and neat. 240 divided by 16, also nice and neat. Okay, let's come back here, y'all. So those are going to cancel. That's going to give me a t squared. Oh, I already forgot my numbers. 8 and 15. Okay, so this is a negative 8 with a t, and a positive 15 is equal to 0. Okay, so y'all, again, I'm just dealing with numbers that are a little bit smaller, right? Since my numbers were smaller, it was easier for me to do. Now I'm going to take that equation, I'm just going to write on the next slide, y'all, t squared minus 8t plus 15 equals 0. Now, y'all, I have some options here. We can try to factor it. We can use the quadratic formula, right? We have options here, okay? So, y'all, first thing is, because that is a 1 now, I am going to try to factor this. So I know that 1 times 15 is 15. Okay? I want to find two numbers that when I multiply them, I get a positive 15, but if I added them, we got a negative 8. We could go negative 3 and negative 5 because they multiply to a positive 15 and they add up to a negative 8. So remember, y'all, because this is one of those, I like to call them the easy breezy cover girl factoring problems, I'm just going to put those numbers in right here. Okay. Now, when I set each part equal to 0, and I move this 3 over and that 5 over, we're going to get two answers. One's going to be t equals 3, and one's going to be t equals 5. So I would come back here, y'all, and right here, I'm just going to do it this way where I got some room. I'm going to put 3, 5. That's all we're going to do. Okay. Let's see. Part B. There was a part B to this question. Right here, y'all, it says, when is it going to return to the ground when V0 is still equal to 128? Okay, so I'm going to come back here. I'm going to write out the same equation that we had, and the V0 number they gave me was 128. We want to know when is it going to return to the ground. Okay, so y'all, when it's at the ground level, that means that the S number is 0. Okay, because we are on the ground, and S stands for the height. If we're on the ground, the height's at 0. Just like we did before, guys, I'm going to move both of those guys over. 16t squared minus 128 with a t is equal to 0. Okay, and I think earlier we said, look, let's divide everything by 16, right? And we did that. So that's a t squared, that's a minus 8t, and that is a 0. I'm going to do that on the next slide. Okay, and from here, guys, I can go ahead and factor out the letter t, and I have a t minus 8 equals 0. So when I set each part equal to 0, I'm going to solve them. Now, this is when we started off. We were on the ground when the projectile started off. When we return to the ground, y'all, I'm going to move that 8 over. So it's going to take 8 seconds before it returns to the ground. Y'all have any questions? Let me